Hey guys, before I start the podcast, a quick introduction. My name is Warnith and I'm the founder of PetXL Marketing. PetXL Marketing is a marketing agency that specifically works with pet businesses. Over the years, we have worked with pet food brand, pet relocation businesses, pet SaaS companies, pet clothing brand, cat food businesses, dog grooming services, and many other product and service-based pet businesses globally. Our services includes everything from creating graphics to running your ad campaign. Not only that, we have built amazing websites and apps for pet businesses. So if you have a pet business and would like us to help grow it, click on the first link in the description to book a call with our team. Now enjoy the podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pet Brand Podcast, the go-to show for pet entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and pet lovers who want to build thriving brands in the pet space. I'm your host Warnith, and every episode we dive into stories, strategies, and secrets behind some of the most successful pet brands in the world. Today, I'm incredibly excited to welcome John Lai, President and CEO of PetVivo Holdings, a biomedical device company that's revolutionizing how we approach joint health and mobility in companion animals. PetVivo has developed a groundbreaking technology called Spryng with OsteoCushion Technology, an injectable veterinary medical device that actually addresses the root cause of joint problems rather than just masking symptoms. So today we'll explore John's journey with PetVivo, dive into the science behind the revolutionary approach to joint health, and uncover valuable insight for anyone looking to innovate in the pet health space. John, thank you so much for joining us on Pet Brand Podcast. We are thrilled to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Amazing, amazing. So yeah, let's get started from the beginning. Every successful leader has a unique story that shapes their vision, right? So, John, I would love for our audience to understand your roots in the industry. Like, can you share your journey that led you to become the president and CEO of PetVivo Holding?
Sure. So the original founder of the company
Yeah,
was a scientist, obviously,
yeah.
and he developed these particles for multiple applications in the human side. So I
Mm-hmm.
believe he received 8 million in grant money from
Yeah.
NIH and DARPA, the Department of Defense, and he was at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. So we did a lot of work on the human side of the market using these particles for multiple applications,
Mm-hmm.
from creating a synthetic vascular shunt that had zero clotting, coating drug-eluting stents that created no thrombosis, and treating urinary incontinence. I mean, they went into pigs, injected the sphincter muscle, and strengthened the muscle by 6x and solving urinary incontinence. So there was a lot of interesting data, but what caused them to reach out to me was they did a 145-person human study using the particles as a derma filler. So they went head to head with Restylane, which is probably 1.8 billion a year just in the United States and growing nicely. So it's
Wow.
used to the facial fold.
Mm,
Well, our product actually, the dermatologist, the majority of them, close to 70% preferred using our product because
mm,
there was no harmful effect if there was overinjection error or whatever, and
mhm.
it was naturally derived.
Yeah.
And the patients, close to 80%, preferred our product to gold standard. So the scientist thought he had a major home run. He was excited. The law firm reached out to me and saying, John, can you come in and commercialize? And I
Mm,
said, you know how competitive the dermal film market is? Yeah, you got Medicis, AbbVie, everybody's in it. And I said, I need 300 million just for marketing for the next 5 years before we probably have the first doctor using it. They go, what? And I said, since you got such a favorable ruling by the human side of the FDA. So the
mm,
human side, the FDA said these particles are a human medical device. Now, the meaning of that means that you don't have to do phase 3 on the human side. You can do a 510(k)
mm,
or what is called a PMA, and you can go right into sales and marketing of the product. But even better, on the animal side of the FDA, when you have that designation, you can just start
mm.
selling and marketing with no studies, and you got an
Yeah.
automatic clearance.
Mm,
So I told them I wanted to go that route, and they said
mm.
no, they're not going to do that. But after 100 and some days, they said, okay, John, we're going to do it your way.
Yeah.
So we brought it to the animal side
Mm,
and we targeted um, athletic horses because those or the ease to get data.
Yeah.
You got the
Mm.
veterinary doctor on the track or at the stadium where the horse is jumping,
Yeah.
and you got trainers right there. They noticed the difference right away.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started injecting horses, athletic horses, the feedback we got was, wow, inflammation, whatever, went down right away.
Wow.
And the recovery time between performances
Mm.
was like more than cut in half.
Mm. Wow.
And the performance of the animal was much better because they were able to relieve some of the pain and everything that was there. So we got great feedback. And for the first 2 years, 90 some percent of our revenues came from selling
Wow.
Spryng product with OsteoCushion technology to those
Mm.
animals.
Mm.
And so I like focusing on technologies that have a niche market that
Mm.
I think it's going to be the mainstream standard of care in the next 5 years. So
Mm.
we've been out there for 3 years, and about a year ago, a little over a year ago, we started to provide clinical data to go
Yeah.
after small animals. So now the revenue mix is starting to change. We're probably seeing 60% in small animals and 40% in equine. Now,
Okay.
think about the size of the relative size of the market.
Mm.
There's about 7 million horses in the United States,
Mm.
about 83 million dogs in the United States, and about
Wow.
55
Yeah.
million cats. So
Mm.
obviously the small animal's much bigger, but those require the studies. And that's what we've been invested in for the
Mm.
last 3 years. We had two very powerful studies come out for hip dysplasia
Yeah.
and ruptured CCLs, which is like the ACL in people. It
Mm.
was much better than the current standard of care,
Mm.
significantly better, where we're starting to get traction. So we're excited about Spryng and how it's going to change
Mm.
the quality of life for small animals and the enjoyment of life for the pet owners, as well as potentially extend the life and reduce the actual costs
Yeah.
of taking care of our pets. Because many
Mm-hmm.
of these
Mm.
dogs, after the injection, will not need the anti-inflammatories and the painkillers. Over
Mm-hmm.
the next 30 days, a dog
Wow.
can be on 5 different medications and they'll be off all of them
Mm.
because our product basically focuses on creating proper joint function. Our particles go into the joint
Yeah.
and then it migrates to the outer synovium, which synovium weakness is found to cause where they lose synovial fluid leakage
Mm.
of the fluid, and therefore there's more friction between the bones. So if you create the proper joint function, you have a long-term solution
Wow.
or a long-term therapy that helps benefit the animal without
Mm.
the side effects because all of our particles are natural. How we
Mm.
got the human designation as a human medical device is we were able to establish no chemical change in the body, no
Mm.
elevation of beta or alpha cells, which shows they're finding something foreign. The body treats it as totally natural, and it should because the proteins are collagen and elastin,
Yeah.
and the carbohydrate we use is heparin. These are
Mm.
the building blocks of articulating cartilage in people.
Mm.
So, so yeah. So that's the uniqueness of the product. There's an
Definitely.
educational phase, and we're getting there. We're getting there. And now, if you look at recently, we signed up the top 6 or 7 distributors in the world to handle our product. That
Wow.
is really good for a small company
Mm-hmm.
to get
Mm-hmm.
the MWI Animal Health,
Mm.
Covetruses,
So your
Patterson,
sales are like mostly B2B.
totally B2B,
Yeah.
because this is an FDA device that's been
Mm.
approved to sell.
Mm.
So it has to be sold to veterinary doctors, which the veterinary doctors love. Because if you look at their business model 15
Yeah.
years ago,
Mm.
30% of their profit were filling prescriptions. Now with Costco and Chewy and everybody else,
Yeah.
they can't get margins.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Mm-hmm.
required by federal law,
Yeah.
if the prescription can be filled by outside source, they got to give it to the patient and say you can
Mm.
fill this anywhere. But with
Mm-hmm.
our product, it's controlled, so it's only filled by the veterinary doctors, so their
Mm.
margins are going to be much better.
Wow, wow, love it, love it. Talking more about the vision and the missions of the company, every successful organization is built upon a foundation of principles, right? That guide the decision making at all levels. So, what do you think? Like, what some of the core values that drive PetVivo's culture and innovation
Sure.
approach?
if you look at our news release, we recently changed our wholly owned subsidiary that does sales, marketing, and distribution
Mm,
of veterinary products and so on
mm,
to PetVivo Animal Health. The reason for that is we just added the next generation of PRP. So we call it precise PRP. And the
mm.
difference here is one, it's the only one that's been FDA reviewed for safety.
Okay.
Secondarily, convenience.
Mm,
So platelet-rich plasma is basically telling the doc you got to draw the blood out and then you got to put it in a centrifuge, spin it for about 20 to 30 minutes,
mm,
and
mm.
then you're supposed to have high counts of platelet. Now, because there's a lot of inconsistency on animal health and so on, how our
Yeah.
product is different is it comes in a vial. All you have to do is add saline or some type of sterile solution, and you're
Mm,
ready to inject.
mm.
Think about the convenience and the cost savings. So a good centrifuge will cost you a vet between eight and $10,000. You don't have to do
Wow.
that.
Wow.
You don't have to take the time to draw the blood of the animal. You got right in the vial, you draw it and inject.
Mm,
So this is truly next generation convenience. And because of this convenience and the cost of capital investment by the vet, we should be able to expand that market. Right now, it's 240 million a year in the US.
wow.
We're looking at the industry projections are that it'll be north of 600 by within 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we believe we're in the growth, proper growth, but also the recognition of the convenience and the FDA safety trial, as well as not have to spending time and carrying the centrifuge. You can imagine if you're a equine vet
Yeah.
out in Northern California, you may have to drive 40 miles to get to the ranch. You don't want to
Mm.
spend your time spinning blood on every horse for 20 minutes or
Yeah.
30 minutes. Here, you got
Yeah.
a value, just draw and inject.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that. But the
Mm,
good thing is also this will help lead to the adoption of Spryng for veterinary doctors to use because Spryng is a new conceptual product. It's a
mm.
new product that's making inroads. We're getting great write-ups. PRP is very well recognized. Vets understand how it works, and we're clearly showing how convenient it is, clear-cut selling points. So
Mm,
when vets use it in combination, because they do that already, because it's what we call multimodal approach to
mm,
treating osteoarthritis, lameness, and rehab.
mm.
Uh, Vets will use a muscle relaxant and then they use Spryng along with it. So if you think about the whole concept, we're the only one really addressing that synovial weakness, and we're providing the function. So you can use it with multiple products,
Yeah.
however the vet wants to treat.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. And many entrepreneurs in our audience are navigating the challenging balance between the growth and staying true to their original mission, right? As a public traded company with shareholder to answer to, so how do you balance being a public traded company while maintaining focus on your mission?
So my philosophy has always been to identify companies that have
Mm.
a unique niche that will become the mainstream over
Yeah.
the next 5 years. So I take a very long-term perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that type of approach, the volatility of the stock is extremely high. Other companies I've been involved with, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you one day it was at $4.
Mm.
60 days later it was at 79. And then
Wow.
120 days later it's back at $3. Because the mentality of the market changes what they
Yeah.
emphasize.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So my shareholder base that's been with me for 20, 30 years understand this.
Mm.
One of them said to me, they go, John, those other two that we were in that had all this volatility, we all try to be cute. We own it at 4. When it hit 19, we sold it. It goes to 80 and we're just bummed. And then when it drops to 50, we buy it and then we watch it go back down to 3.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep it in the safe deposit box for 5 years and
Yeah.
then figure out where we're at because
Yeah.
it's too tempting to trade in and out thinking it's gone too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Mhm. Mm.
they are paradigm shifts in the
Mm.
approach
Yeah.
to how we look at technology. And if you look at the other product or partnership we'll announce with Digital Lania, that's
Mm.
going to be agentic AI, which is really cool. It's a communication tool that you can download for free as a
Mm.
pet owner. You aim your
Wow.
phone at your dog or cat or horse,
Mm.
it's gonna tell you what they want.
Oh.
95% accurate. But if you want to customize it specifically for your dog, it's
Uh,
$9.99 per month, and it'll bring you to about 98% accurate what the dog's trying to tell you. But on
wow.
top of that, it's way beyond the communication. As more of the functionality gets introduced into the app, we'll
Uh,
have an additional aspect that will based on the type of dog you are. And this is all based on peer review science. This
yeah.
type of dog, let's say it's a basset hound, will
Mm,
fit extremely well with this type of food and this
mm,
combination of exercise. So we will provide the pet owner, and you can create the dog for the dog its own advocate. So it's in 26 different languages, and you can give it an accent. I mean, it is the most fun,
crazy.
cool thing. So
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a huge adoption out
Mm,
there of pet owners.
hmm.
There's about 180, 190 million pet owners in the United States.
Yeah.
So we get a percentage of that. That's a very powerful tool for establishing the brand of PetVivo or Spryng with OsteoCushion or Precise PRP.
Yeah.
And then there's a diagnostic version too. So if they can see in your dog
Mm,
the early onset of potential osteoarthritis, it will tell you, and we will prompt them into looking and learning about our product, how different it is from others. So we're consciously and subconsciously giving the message to the pet owner, there are good solutions out there that will not have side
yeah.
effects.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Love it. And also, like in talking more about the product innovation and developing such a novel approach to joint health, what were some of the biggest technical challenges in developing Spring?
Because the science was so good behind it. And if you think about the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, they're world renowned for the research.
Yeah. Mm,
And we were funded in the human side. So, from a funding and research standpoint, it really wasn't difficult
okay. Mm,
because
mm.
because
Because
they
you were
peer
working the
review
best
all this
people.
stuff before they give you more money. So you're hitting the milestone. So
Yeah.
when I got here, it was easy because it was already developed and the science were supporting it. The
Mm-hmm.
difficulty, as always, is they don't give you the funding to understand how to produce it on a mass scale basis. They don't give
Okay.
you so we brought the teams in that know, like Josh Wilhelm, who's head of our production. I mean, he did production in Medtronic and Schultz
Mm,
Diabetes
mm,
on the
mm.
human side. So we have the team that can scale to millions of syringes if we needed to.
Wow. Wow. Talking more about the market and industry insights. Uh, the recent projections show a remarkable growth rate. The US animal health market is projected to grow from $5.7 billion to $11.3 billion by 2030. So what do you think, like what factors are driving this tremendous growth?
Okay, so did you say for the osteoarthritis market or the pet health market in general?
The pet health market in general.
Oh, pet health market's 135 billion in the
Wow.
United States.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're looking at specifically osteoarthritis, which
Mm-hmm.
we serve more than that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it is growing at about 5% a year. And I would say it's close to $5 billion. And that's why I was asking, were you talking specifically
Okay, okay. Yeah,
osteoarthritis or
yeah,
the
yeah.
market in general?
Mm-hmm.
So we do more than that, but let's just focus on that. So what's
Mm-hmm.
causing that, believe it or not, is dogs getting spayed and neutered earlier. So the younger they are,
Mm-hmm.
they have found a correlation between the onset of osteoarthritis at a younger age. So it's
Okay.
important to get your dog spayed and neutered probably a year into it, but listen to your vet because your vet knows your animal the best. It's different with every animal.
Mm-hmm.
Also, COVID actually led to the increase in osteoarthritis, and here's the reason why. And it went opposite of what I thought would happen. So I thought with COVID, people would have nothing to do but go outside and exercise, and hence their
Mm-hmm.
dog would get a lot of exercise. The exact
Mm-hmm.
opposite happened. They sat on the couch and watched TV, and that's exactly what their dog did, was sit on the couch next to him and watch TV and gain weight.
Mm-hmm.
Weight is obesity or weight is the number one contributor to
Mm-hmm.
joint issues
Mm-hmm.
as well as other health issues. Just like in
Yeah,
humans,
definitely. Mm,
diabetes and cardiovascular is caused by
mm,
obesity. Same
mm,
thing with
mm,
animals.
mm,
So we're seeing that impact. We're seeing the impact of earlier onset. Now, the good thing is insurance companies and other organizations are starting to recognize innovative products like ours
Mm.
that will reduce their longer term payouts. Like with one of them, their
Yeah.
vet super excited. She goes, there's all these different dogs like Dobermans and
Mm.
Labs that we should be injecting as a prophylactic to prevent it from getting worse.
Yeah.
Well, the difficulty is risk says, no, we'll only pay for your product once we
Mm.
diagnose the problem. But
Mm.
that mentality is changing. We're being approached now saying, John, let's talk about how we can launch this product. Let's go through our committee because they're realizing as pet usage of insurance or the consumer's pet usage is growing at a very fast clip. It's
Yeah.
growing at like 30% a year.
Wow.
It's still only about 5-6% of the pet owners have pet
Mm.
insurance.
Mm.
So that's a major thing for us because our product is considered a veterinary device. Devices are covered under a standard code on pet insurance reimbursement. So when they recognize that if
Mm.
we're injecting a dog at age 5 with
Mm.
early signs, it will prolong the damage of that cartilage. They may never need the surgery. Or if a dog is age 11 or 12, a lab's
Mm.
life expectancy is 12 to 13, and they need a joint replacement, but we can provide great pain relief and increase in mobility on a single injection. It saves the insurance company, it saves the stress on the dog also, because
Yeah.
the dog's going to be benefiting without the rehab. Rehab is very difficult for an older dog.
Definitely. Mm. Mm-hmm. Talking more about the business strategy and growth side of things, scaling decisions are critical for growing pet companies, right? The Pet Vivo has positioned itself with manufacturing capacity of up to like 500,000 units annually. So, what do you think? Like, what strategic consideration went into this scaling decision?
So we recognize the facility we put together met the human medical device standards.
Yeah.
ISO 5, 7, and 8. We didn't have to do that because our people came from the human side. So we said, let's
Mm.
just do that.
Mm.
But
Mm.
we also thought way ahead because if we're at 500,000 syringes a year, that means our revenues are going to be 120 million.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So we have no more CapEx expenditure probably for the next 3 years or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it.
Yeah,
Talking more
we're
about
taking a long-term approach, which fits my whole philosophy instead of worrying about quarter to quarter, because a lot of people say, well, John, how
the.
come your adoption rate isn't going faster? And I
Yeah.
said, you do realize when Medtronic came out with the pacemaker, it took them 4.5 years to hit 1 million in sales.
Yeah. Yeah.
Idenix with their diagnostics, it took them 5 years to hit 1 million in sales.
Mm.
Idenix Diagnostics Tool is a $22 billion franchise today because they
Uh,
had the vision to understand they were
mm.
changing the
Mm.
world. And that's what our goal is, that
Mm-hmm.
every product we bring out is quite innovative
Mm.
and leading to what we believe is going to provide better outcomes at a lower cost for the consumer.
Definitely, definitely. And product development requires, tough prioritization decision, especially when resources are limited, right? So with 17 products in your pipeline and different developmental stage, so how do you prioritize like which innovation you should focus on and which one should not
Yeah.
be? Yeah.
So all that work was done on the human side.
Mm.
So as I build up the animal side, my focus on the animal side is in the area of regenerative medicine, osteoarthritis, lameness, and rehab. They
Mm.
all fit together as a combination. So as we introduce products, you're going to see it's additive to the whole portfolio that's within PetVivo Animal Health. On the human side, as the stock market, as the equity market gets better,
Mm.
then we'll look at funding that separately with additional money into the human side of the area, because that's a totally different group. And if you listen to JP Morgan
Yeah.
at their healthcare conference talk about funding availability in the life science area,
Mm.
unless you're
Mm.
in phase 2 and you need a minimum $500 million, you're not going to get it in this market.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Talking more about the challenges and solution side of things. Introducing revolutionary product often means like changing established mindset, right? So how did you overcome skepticism from veterinarian who are accustomed to doing traditional treatment methods?
Yep. So a lot of it is evidence-based and key opinion leaders.
Mm.
So
Mm.
if you look at on the equine side, Dr.
mm,
Tracy Turner is very well known. He's president of the American Association of Equine Practitioners, which
mhm,
is the largest organization in the world for equine practitioners.
mhm.
He's was the former chief surgeon of large animal surgery at the University of Minnesota.
Wow.
And if you look at what the regulatory bodies are doing for us,
Mm,
HISA, which is the Horse Integrity Safety Authority,
mm,
if you read the rules on synthetic lubricants or polyacrylamide type injections,
mhm,
they basically said any product in this category, a vet found on the track with it will be fined and suspended. Any
okay.
horse eating it will have a 6-month prohibition from racing. But
Mm,
within the rules, they flat out name Spryng, if it's used, it's the standard 2-week prohibition. So in horse racing, anything you put into a horse, you're
mm,
automatically prohibited from racing 2 weeks. So that gives us a major advantage because
mm, mm,
every racetrack has to use this, and there's likelihood that other organizations may institute a similar rule, for hunter jumpers and rodeo horses and so
yeah,
on, because they
yeah.
tend to follow each other.
Mm,
So that was because of Dr. Turner been using our products so long, they actually brought him in and testify about the use of the polyacrylamines. And he was saying, as far as he's concerned, Spryng is a product that would work extremely well and very safe for long term for the horses
mm,
because the
mm.
synthetic lubricants are using polyacrylamide, which is what your contact lenses are made out of. So
Yeah.
if you think about you're injecting contact lenses into your joint,
Mm,
it
mm.
does provide lubrication, but over time it builds up and is very difficult. Can you imagine a ripped contact lens in your eye, how bothersome that is? So I'm sure, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure the animals are having similar issues. And
Definitely. Mm,
if you look at the small animal side, Dr. Tammy Grubb, she is considered one of the top experts in canine pain management,
mm,
professor,
mm.
Washington State Veterinary School.
Yeah.
And now she's the president of the International Academy of Pain Management.
Mm,
She did a peer review article, and which was very good from the standpoint she disclosed that she works as an advisor to a
mm,
competitor of ours. And
mm.
she raised the question to veterinary doctors, they should look at Spryng as first use. Because what we
Wow.
find is
Mm,
anytime you're introducing a new product, what the vets do is they take a dog that's gone through every single regimen they're used to and it didn't work. And then
mm,
they inject
mm,
Spryng in. And then
mhm.
when Spryng works, they go, oh, good, this is my go to Hail Mary product when nothing else works. And then they
Yeah.
don't get out of their mindset for a while.
Yeah.
It'll take
Yeah.
9 months to a year before they figure out, gosh, I should just try this as part of my general practice. So
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
article, she basically said
Mm.
Spryng should be looked at as first use.
Wow.
Also, should be the use for dogs that can't take NSAIDs. So 5% of the 83 million can't take any NSAIDs, and you got to use other types of
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
The Spryng is the one where you can inject. There's no
Mm,
side
mm,
effects. You don't worry about gastrointestinal tract bleeding, liver and kidney issues.
mm,
This
mm.
should be and it's much cheaper than the other regimens that are non-NSAID based.
Mhm. Talking about the marketing and communication strategy side of things, the veterinary industry has its own communication channels and trusted voice, like you stated, right? So, what marketing channels have you found the most effective for reaching veterinarians about Spryng, and how does that differ from how you might reach pet owners directly?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting one as we notice the change in the marketplace
Hmm,
as probably the last 8 years of veterinary doctors, 65% of them are women that are coming out of the vet school,
hmm, hmm.
and they're much more open to using social media.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
so what we've been seeing, which is
Hmm.
totally outside of the standard marketing that you would learn at Pfizer Animal Health, Merck Animal Health, because they would be using the old magazine covers,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
would
yeah.
be using
Hmm,
trade shows with speakers,
hmm,
is TikTok videos and
yeah.
Instagram videos that the vet techs and
Yeah.
pet owners are putting up on their own.
Hmm,
So it's been very powerful for us lately is
hmm,
because we're having some very prominent university vet schools
hmm.
that's been buying our product and using it.
Yeah.
Some of the owners have been putting up the results they're getting on Spryng. We had one horse
Hmm,
that could not get up for 10 days.
mm,
and it was
mm,
very old, probably 27, 28 years old.
mm,
So they were ready to put it down, but they
mm.
decided to try Spryng on it. 3 days
Yeah.
later, the horse got up on its own,
Wow.
ran to the trough, fed
Mm,
itself, got
mm,
water itself, and
mm,
then
mm.
like 7, 10 days later, the horse was running around like it never had an
Crazy.
issue.
Mm,
And this was at a major university.
mm,
So the
mm,
owner put it up, and the vet said, gave us the
mm,
permission to
mm,
use the vet's name.
mm.
At UC Davis, I think, we had a dog that had two surgeries, wasn't
Mm.
helping. And then they
Yeah.
injected with Spryng, and the owner
Mm,
came
mm,
back to the school, bringing
mm,
the dog in and say, look how well my dog is running. She was so excited.
mm, mm,
And they
mm.
put that up. And all those are creating because everybody graduated from a vet school.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it's their own school posting it up, it
Mm,
automatically opens them. And we're seeing this at the trade
mm.
show. So
Yeah.
when we're at the trade show, we're getting veterinary doctors coming up. I've never used Spryng. I just heard of it from one of my colleagues that I went to college with. They're getting
Mm,
great results.
mm,
So that's why I talk about the time. It takes 3 to 5 years to really get a meaningful traction. But with
definitely.
social media, it's helping speed up our process, and the
Mm,
cost of
mm,
acquisition has been going down every day.
mm. Definitely. So though basically it's like, let's say like in a like a layman language, you can say it's influencer marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Influencer marketing plus
Mm,
the studies that are coming out. We got multiple studies coming
mm,
out from
mm,
universities and so on that
mm,
will
mm,
show the product is an improvement over the current standard of care.
mm, 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 mm. And looking ahead, like your marketing goals, like what do you see as your biggest challenge in building awareness and adoption in your technology over the next 12 to 24 months?
So as we keep adding product, it's very clear it's going to be complementary to each other.
Mm,
So we're going to
okay.
see a
Mm,
tremendous
mm,
portfolio of products
mm,
that vets can see as part of a multimodal approach, but not just provide targeting of the symptoms. We're providing long-term therapies towards the root cause of the problem.
mm, mm, mm. Talking more about the veterinary relationship and adoption, supporting professionals who use your product is crucial for adoption and success, right? So, do you like provide any educational resources to help veterinary integrate your product into their practice?
Absolutely. We
Mm,
provide um, seminars that provide continuing education credits that they're
mm,
required to
mm,
take.
mm,
And we go through the certification processes of the various organizations that give. So we did one in clinician's brief,
mm,
which was on advancements in intra-articular injections for osteoarthritis, which is what our product addresses.
mm, mm.
And we had a tremendous turnout. I mean, we had 840 vets sign up for it,
Wow,
which is very big number. That's like 50 times what you normally get. You usually get like 30, 40 vets.
wow.
But on the actual seminar, we had over 400. And those 400 stayed
Mm,
full 60 minutes after the course was
wow.
completed to ask a
Mm,
whole series of questions related to the use of our product.
mm,
So those are powerful. We'll have another CE application in that we're going to get approved there soon. So we'll do another one of those.
mm,
And
mm,
and those are great educational pieces that the vet need to do to continue to be able to practice. And so that's a good audience approach. And then being at the major conferences. We just completed the Western Veterinary Conference in Las Vegas,
mm,
which is the biggest show in the West Coast. 20,000 vets and vet techs or attendees at the show. And the
mm.
prior month, we were at VMX, which was in Orlando. And I think that one has like 25,000 and it's on the
Wow.
East Coast. So we just completed two of the largest shows. So we should be seeing good adoption coming in, as well as we got specialty shows coming up, like the International Academy of Veterinary Pain Management, veterinary orthopedic surgical organizations.
Wow.
There's a conference every weekend, pretty much, and we have to, but we got to target the
Yeah,
specialty
specific. Yeah.
because they're the key opinion leaders. They're the ones that
Mm, mm,
the general practitioner and internal medicine vet will probably send
mm,
to
mm,
these to pay management and so on. And though that's more of our target base, even though our injection once they look through our website and go through the educational videos, a
Mm.
general practitioner can easily do the injection.
Wow. Wow. Love it. And how many people you have in your team who are handling all this to make sure this
I think
process
30
going through?
some.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and 15 are scientific people. I get a little blown away by that because we have
Yeah.
PhDs that are recognized on the human side
Yeah.
as top experts in biomaterials. People are saying, why do you have somebody like that? He was featured as one of the top 10 experts in the world in this area.
Wow.
I said he wanted to come to work for us
Mm.
and he was willing to work on a compensation level that I could never get somebody with that type of credential. And so everybody's excited about what we're doing. That's the culture we have built here. Because they love the fact we're going to be helping animals and then eventually humans, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of improving the quality of life. So it's more than just profit based.
Mm-hmm.
It is very, very important that we're helping people and animals.
Definitely. Definitely. And John, our audience consists primarily of entrepreneurs looking to make their mark in the pet health space. So, from your journey building a successful biomedical device company, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to innovate in the pet health technology space?
Yeah, innovation is tough. You got to really take a long-term approach. And
Definitely.
this market, in terms of valuation, because we had two competitors in the last 20 days drop 60, 70% in stock value, and somebody said, well, John, you're down like 15%. I said, it's the overall. You got to look at the peer group. We're way outperforming everybody in the peer group. It doesn't mean much to shareholders when they're down and they see everybody down a lot worse. But I said, when it turns, the ones that's down the least are the ones that are going to lead this market out. And if you look at historically,
Yeah.
the S&P 500 versus the micro cap index of life science,
Hmm.
in the history of the market, you have never had a disparity of returns. So as you know, everything comes to the regression line. So the odds are good that ours will rise more than
Hmm.
relative to the S&P 500. So if you find companies that you agree with their philosophy, agree with how they're approaching to change the
Yeah.
way things are being done, you just have to believe in and buy it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's the difficulty right now for financing because every investment bank will tell you it's very hard to get money
Yeah.
from the long-term investors because think about life science long-term investors the last 2 years, their return on their portfolio is down about 80%.
Okay.
So the only people that are investing are
Hmm.
what I call the short-term guys
Hmm.
that will want warrants that gives them downside protection. So the
Hmm.
incentive for them is to come into the stock, sell the stock, keep the warrants, and hope you make it. That's a tough motto in this market. But that'll change. Everything changes. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And identifying undeserved needs creates opportunity for innovation. So, based on your deep industry knowledge, what do you believe are like some of the most overlooked opportunity in the pet health sector today?
Believe it or not, the feline market for osteoarthritis, there is
Okay.
no dominant player.
Hmm.
Zoetis introduced
Yeah.
Solentia for
Yeah.
the cat,
Yeah. Hmm.
and it's $125 a month. That is very expensive. And they're finding out in older cats with neurological issues, the side effects are
Hmm.
quite high. So
Hmm.
we feel, and their approach is addressing what we
Hmm.
call the nerve growth factor that tells the brain there's pain, they're blocking it.
Hmm.
So our approach is quite different. Our approach is looking at the underlying problem of the synovium of having fluid to
Hmm.
keep the joint lubricating. So we correct and augment the performance of the synovium, you're going to have much better fluid function or proper fluid function. So that's a much longer term approach. And given cat joints are really small, a
Hmm.
single syringe probably can inject 4 joints of a cat. And you're not doing any damage if the
Yeah.
joint is perfectly healthy and you're injecting the particles in. All you're doing is helping the lubrication of the
Yeah.
joint, which is
Yeah.
good. So we feel from an economic standpoint
Hmm. Hmm.
that this is a big open window. And if you look at the numbers, the fastest growing segment is cat clinics.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. And other other guests who were on this podcast, they were also saying, this is the most overlooked market, and I think that needs a lot of innovations.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is
Mm, mm.
it's recession proof pretty much.
Okay.
People do not cut back
Mm,
on the health of their pets because as the changes
mm.
in lifestyles and standards,
Definitely, yeah.
because
Hmm.
less and less people are getting married, less and
Yeah,
less people are having children,
yeah.
so their pets become part of the family. And they'll
Hmm.
do anything that it takes to improve the quality of life. And the metrics would back that up. So in 2010, the average dog owner would spend $1,700 before they stop treatment. In 2021, it was $10,700.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is coming, I believe, from the American Pet Association of
Hmm.
dollars. So we're showing the importance and what people are willing to spend on their pets.
Wow. Wow. Crazy. John, I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time to join us today on Pet Brand Podcast. The insight you shared about Pet Vivo's journey, the science behind Spryng with OsteoCushion Technology, and your vision for the future of veterinary medical device have been truly fascinating.
Great, thank you for having me, and we look forward to adding new products to the pipeline because
Yeah.
that is the
Yeah.
plan. And
Mhm.
I think everybody's gonna get excited that we're gonna
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
able to provide long-term health for their pets.
Definitely. And I would love to have you again on the podcast with the new products. And I'm sure our listener, whether they are pet brand founder, entrepreneurs, or professional in the industry, must have gained valuable perspective from your experience. And for your audience, if you'd like to learn more about Pet Vivos and their groundbreaking work in pet health, you can visit their website or reach out through the contact information. I will leave all the links in the description below. And until next time, Varnith, it's reminding you that the innovation in the pet industry isn't just good business, it's about improving the lives of the animal and we all love. So see you in the next video.